The moment he stood up, you could feel it, the weight of the room shifted, as if the future itself was about to change. That's how people later described it. That precise moment when Elon Musk, yes, the Elon Musk, stood up from his chair under the burning lights of the Austin Startup Summit, his jaw set, his face unreadable, and decided he'd had enough. It was supposed to be just another fireside chat. The setting couldn't have been more perfect. A massive auditorium filled with ambitious entrepreneurs, tech enthusiasts, and investors. The walls were lined with banners about disruption, innovation, dreaming bigger. At the center, two armchairs on a low stage, one occupied by Elon Musk, the other by Samantha Reed, a rising star in the world of venture capital, a woman known for her sharp wit, no-nonsense interviews, and a knack for digging under the skin of even the most media-trained executives. When Samantha introduced Elon, the room buzzed with excitement. Here he was, the man who had made electric cars sexy, who was sending rockets to Mars, who wasn't afraid to dream absurd dreams and somehow make them real. At first, everything went as expected. Samantha asked about Tesla's new battery technology, SpaceX's latest missions, Elon's vision for artificial intelligence. He answered with his usual dry humor, offering up glimpses into the future like a magician revealing a few tricks but never the whole act. The crowd hung on every word. But somewhere around the 30-minute mark, the conversation took a turn. Maybe it was fatigue. Maybe it was the questions themselves, a little sharper, a little more personal. Maybe it was the way Samantha leaned forward in her chair, voice just a shade too casual, as she said, "Elon, you've built rockets, revolutionized cars, even tried to reinvent the internet, but sometimes, it feels like your biggest innovation is how you handle controversy. I mean, one tweet and the whole stock market jitters. Do you ever wonder if you're your own worst enemy?" The room shifted. A few chuckles fluttered nervously across the audience. Samantha smiled, but there was an edge to it, the smile of someone who knew they'd struck a nerve and intended to press harder. Elon didn't smile back. He tilted his head slightly, his face thoughtful. For a moment, it seemed he might deflect with a joke, as he often did. Instead, he answered quietly, almost too quietly. "It's easy to sit outside the arena and critique the fighter bleeding in the ring." Samantha arched an eyebrow. The audience was silent now. "I'm not just making headlines," Elon continued, voice tightening, "I'm trying to build the future." Mistakes? Sure. I own them. But if people spent half as much time building as they do mocking, we'd already be living on Mars. The tension cracked like ice underfoot. Samantha, unfazed, leaned in again. "But isn't it fair to question leadership? Especially when you carry the hopes and the investments of millions?" Elon's eyes narrowed. "Questioning is fine," he said, "but cheap shots dressed as questions? That's not how civilizations are built." A hush fell over the room. Somewhere in the back, a cell phone buzzed loudly and was hurriedly silenced. It was the kind of moment where time seemed to warp. The thousand faces in the audience holding their breath, the cameras recording every flicker of emotion, the social media managers furiously typing captions for the inevitable viral clips. Samantha, sensing the shift, tried to steer the conversation back to safer waters. "Let's talk about inspiration then," she said lightly. "Who inspires you, Elon?" But it was too late. Elon leaned forward in his chair, elbows on his knees, voice low and electric. "You want to know who inspires me?" he asked. "It's not the people sitting in studios or writing tweets. It's the people who are tired, who have been laughed at, who have nothing left to give but still find a way to build something better. It's the single mom coding at night while her kids sleep. It's the teenager soldering circuits in a garage because no one told him he couldn't." His words hit the air like a hammer. For the first time all evening, Samantha looked caught off guard. Elon stood up. No dramatic slam of the chair. No raised voice. Just a simple act of getting up, slow, deliberate, heavy with meaning. He turned to the audience, sweeping the room with his gaze. "Dream bigger," he said. "And stop wasting your energy tearing down the people who are trying." Then he walked off the stage. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the room exploded, some in applause, some in shocked murmurs, others scrambling for their phones to capture what had just happened. In the hours that followed, the incident would rocket across social media. Clips of Musk's words would be replayed, debated, meme-ified. Some would call him thin-skinned. Others would call him a hero for standing up to the cynicism that so often suffocates dreamers. But for those who had been in that room, who had felt the shift in the air, who had seen a man choosing not to argue but to walk away with dignity, it wasn't just another viral moment. It was a line in the sand, a challenge, a reminder. And somehow, it felt like the future itself had just been dared to dream a little louder. The moment Elon Musk disappeared behind the velvet curtain, the auditorium buzzed like a hive poked with a stick. People stood up, talking in rushed whispers. Phones were out, screens glowing. The sound text backstage froze, waiting for instructions that never came. Samantha Reed sat alone on the stage for a few seconds that stretched into what felt like hours. She adjusted her microphone, smoothed the skirt of her dress, and gave a small, practiced smile. "Well," she said into the microphone, that escalated quickly. The audience laughed, a thin, nervous laugh, grateful for a release valve. But deep down, everyone knew they had just witnessed something rare. Not a PR stunt. Not a scripted controversy. Something real. Something raw. By the time Samantha wrapped up the event with a few awkward words about valuing all perspectives and celebrating innovation, Twitter had already exploded. #MustWalkout was trending within minutes. Clips were posted, reposted, stitched into reaction videos. People debated, speculated, argued. Some praised Elon for standing his ground against a culture that often tears down dreamers before they even get a chance to build. Others accused him of being fragile, of refusing to take a little heat. The world, so eager for heroes and villains, tried to decide which one he would be that night. Meanwhile, Elon wasn't watching any of it. While social media brewed its storm, he sat in the back seat of a rented Tesla Model X, staring out at the Texas night sliding past the window. He wasn't angry. Not really. If anything, he felt a familiar ache. The same one he had felt years ago when PayPal fired him. When the media mocked Tesla's early failures. When people said SpaceX would never survive its first rocket explosion. It wasn't the ridicule that hurt. It was how small people's dreams had become. Somewhere along the way, he thought, the world had decided it was safer to laugh at the impossible than to chase it. And maybe he'd gotten too used to trying to explain himself. Maybe it was time to stop. His phone buzzed. A text from May, his mother. "Proud of you. Not everyone will understand. Dream anyway." He smiled faintly. Then another buzz, this time from an old friend, someone who had known him before the world did. "That was the most honest thing I've seen in a long time. Keep building, man." And then another. And another. Messages of support flooded in from unexpected places, young entrepreneurs, engineers, even a few scientists working late in labs far from the spotlight. People who knew what it felt like to be laughed at. People who were building things no one believed in yet. By the next morning, every major news outlet had a headline. Most of them sensational. Elon Musk walks out after tense interview, diva move or power play. Startup summit turns into showdown, Musk versus media culture. Is Elon Musk too big to fail or too thin-skinned to lead? Everyone had an opinion. But what they didn't know, what no one could see from the outside, was that Elon hadn't walked off in anger. He had walked off in clarity. Some battles weren't worth fighting with words. Some truths were too big to explain in a soundbite. He wasn't going to spend the rest of his life arguing with people who had never built anything except an opinion. He was going to build. That afternoon, tucked away in a quiet co-working space in downtown Austin, Musk pulled out his laptop. While pundits and talking heads speculated about his ego, he sketched plans for a new project. Something bold. Something insane. something people would call impossible until it wasn't. He didn't tell anyone yet. Not even his inner circle. Because some dreams are too fragile to survive the noise at first. Because sometimes, the future starts with walking away from a conversation that no longer deserves your voice. And building something so undeniable. The world has no choice but to listen. For the next 6 months, Elon Musk disappeared from the spotlight. No late-night interviews. No viral tweets. No magazine covers or flashy announcements. Just silence. While the world spun stories about him, speculating whether he was retreating, collapsing, or plotting, he was doing something far simpler. Building. Every morning, before the sun rose over Austin's glass towers, he would drive himself to a nondescript warehouse on the edge of town. No logos. No fanfare. Just a skeleton crew of engineers, dreamers, and stubborn believers. There, behind heavy doors and dust-choked light, something extraordinary was taking shape. It wasn't a rocket. It wasn't a car. It wasn't even a satellite. It was something smaller. Simpler. More dangerous. A school. A school not built with marble halls and polished speeches, but with steel, screens, and soil. A place where kids would learn not by memorizing, but by building. By dreaming. By failing. And trying again. A place where it wouldn't be strange to want to send an email to Mars. Where designing a robot arm after lunch was just another Tuesday. The idea had been percolating in Elon's mind for years, back when he first started at Astra, a tiny experimental school for his own children. But this was bigger. Project Pioneer, he called it. A school designed to teach the future. Not the future people expected. The future that no one had dared to imagine yet. It was risky. It was absurd. And it was exactly the kind of thing that made people roll their eyes, until it worked. Word spread slowly at first. Whispers among investors. Rumors in tech forums. Curious glances from journalists parked outside the warehouse. And then one day, a single post appeared on Tesla's website. Simple. Direct. No fanfare. If you are 12 to 17 years old and tired of being told to dream smaller, apply here. We're building the future, and we need you. No marketing campaign. No polished video. Just a challenge. And within 48 hours, tens of thousands of applications flooded in from around the world. The first day the doors opened, Elon stood at the entrance himself, jeans, black t-shirt, hair a mess from staying up too late reviewing designs. He shook every student's hand. Not because it was a photo op. Because he meant it. He believed these kids might just be the ones to finish the work his generation had only begun. As the students toured the halls, modular labs buzzing with 3D printers, AI systems, rocket simulators, they weren't just seeing a school. They were seeing a revolution. At the opening ceremony, there were no celebrities. No politicians. Just Elon, standing awkwardly behind a scratched-up podium someone had dragged from a back closet. He cleared his throat, looked at the sea of young faces, and said, "They will laugh at you." He paused. "They will tell you that you're crazy. That you're arrogant. That you're wasting your time." Another pause. The room was dead silent. They said it to me. They said it to everyone who ever built something that mattered. Your job is not to prove them wrong. Your job is to prove yourself right. He smiled then, that rare, crooked smile, and added, "And when you do, build something so beautiful, so undeniable, that even the loudest critics have no choice but to shut up and stare." No one clapped at first. Not because they weren't moved. Because they were too busy believing. That night, as Elon walked back to his car under the Texas stars, he didn't check Twitter. He didn't call his publicist. He didn't even turn on the radio. He just stood there for a moment, feeling the cool night air brush against his skin. There would be more critics. More cheap shots. More headlines twisting his words. It didn't matter. Because for the first time in a long time, he wasn't speaking to the world that wanted quick wins and viral quotes. He was speaking to the ones who would pick up where he left off. The next generation of builders. The ones who understood that the future wasn't something you argued about. It was something you created. One impossible, beautiful step at a time. The months rolled by. Project Pioneer grew faster than anyone, even Elon, had dared to predict. What started as a handful of students tinkering with recycled parts became a living, breathing organism. A place where ideas weren't just discussed, they were built. By the end of the first year, students had designed autonomous farming bots that could tend vertical gardens in urban rooftops. They had programmed AI tutors for underfunded schools across rural America. They had even collaborated with engineers at SpaceX on prototype modules for lunar habitats. They weren't waiting for permission. They weren't asking for applause. They were building the future they wanted to live in. Just like Elon had hoped. Looking back, it was almost funny. All the headlines. All the debates. All the noise about whether Elon Musk had lost it when he walked off that stage in Austin. None of it mattered now. The real impact wasn't in a viral moment. It wasn't in a trending hashtag. It was here. In a warehouse-turned-school at the edge of Texas. In the cracked hands of a 15-year-old coding solar panel software. In the quiet hum of 3D printers forging tomorrow. This was the real work. The work that no camera crew ever fully captured. The kind that didn't fit into a 280-character tweet. If there was one lesson Elon would carve into stone for anyone who dared to dream, it would be this. Don't waste your fire arguing with people who are afraid of it. Use it to light the way forward. Because the truth is, you will be misunderstood. You will be mocked. You will be doubted, not just by strangers, but sometimes by the people you love most. And when that happens, you'll have a choice. Spend your life trying to win them over. Or spend your life building something so undeniable they have no choice but to believe. Choose wisely. Before closing this chapter, Elon often shared 2 books with the students of Pioneer. 2 books that, in his words, won't give you the answers, but will give you better questions. The Second Mountain by David Brooks. A Journey Beyond Success, into the Search for Meaning. About how real fulfillment isn't found in conquering, but in service, and building something bigger than yourself. 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. A masterclass in creating things that have never existed before. About the courage to defy conventions and chase bold, unconventional dreams. If this story stirred something inside you, if it made you wonder what future you could be building, maybe it's time. Maybe it's your turn. Not to argue. Not to prove. But to build. Because the world doesn't need more critics. It needs more pioneers. And maybe, just maybe, it's been waiting for you all along.